Hi, everybody. This is Behind the Sound, me and my co-host Aaron, and today we have a band in from, where are you guys from again?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yes,
Okay.
That's interesting. Like, this is one of our first U.S. ones to do, so this is great. And it's Dust Prophet is the name of your band?
Correct.
So, yeah, it's nice to have you in. It's great because, like I said, we're Canadian-based. We had a couple other, but this is our first U.S. Band, so that's really exciting. We're trying to reach out to different areas. So what I'll do is I'll let Aaron take the first question.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
You can give us a background on your music and how music is in your life and when you knew you wanted to start making music.
Well, the background on the band for Dust Prophet, we play, doom and stoner metal, so hugely influenced by bands like Clutch and Caius and Electric Wizard and whatnot, but we sort of gravitate more, and of course Black Sabbath, how can they not? But we gravitate more towards like the riff groove sort of side of it, as opposed to more like the droning sort of doom style. When you say doom metal, it kind of covers a wide variety of styles and applications and nuances, so it's not as simple. I kind of equate it to when you say industrial. I used to be a huge fan of industrial music. I played industrial music in all my bands for the better part of 15 years. And, you could take Skinny Puppy, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, KMFDM, Front 242. There's 5 industrial bands, all dramatically different. So it's the same thing with like doom and stoner metal. You say that as a genre, but every band has their approach, their own unique sound. It's not a one size fits all.
So now the second part of that question, when for you personally, did you realize in your life you wanted to make music?
Very early on, I was a very little kid, and I think it was when one of my sisters is 4 years older, and she passed down Michael Jackson's Thriller on cassette, and I can remember like dancing to it, and like I was pretty young. I was probably 4 or so, but it always sort of, the way it made me feel, regardless of the style or who it was, or there were songs I just sort of gravitated to the hook of that particular piece. So when I got a little bit older, I tried, when I was probably around 12, I was starting to learn how to play guitar. And at the time, when I was 12, it was the very tail end of like the whole hair metal thing from the late 80s, like 1990, like right before grunge. So you had all like the C-level hair bands that were exploding at the time. I'm trying to learn like how to play regular chords and power chords, and watching all these guitar players playing these ridiculous solos that are highly technical and flashy, and like, God, I'm never going to be able to do this. How the hell am I ever going to learn how to do this? And then grunge broke, and when Nirvana came out, when Nevermind was released, it, like, for me as a kid, had a massive impact. The idea that you didn't need to be this crazy technical player, that if you could play 3, 4, 5 power chords and just jam it out, emotion and rawness and anger, those transcended technical skill and made for incredible songwriting. I had a little bit, my uncle was giving me guitar lessons. He's a huge Bob Dylan fan, huge folk rock guitar player. So I did understand that to a very minimal degree prior to that, but I was like, I don't know, Uncle Bob, I'm not really into Bob Dylan. This isn't really like my thing and all that. And then, those opening chords of Smells Like Teen Spirit, especially when it kicks in after, when the distortion comes on and Dave Grohl comes rolling in, and just the aggressiveness of it, that's what hooked me. And I was like, holy crap, I got to get a distortion pedal, and I have to find a way to make this guitar loud and feedback and all that. I was hooked. That brought me from, getting into Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and some of those bands at that time, that was my gateway into heavier music. Because then you start finding out, wow, Kurt Cobain's talking about like the Melvins. You should check them out. So you check them out, and then you find out who they're in. And their contemporaries, and it sort of grows and grows and grows, and looking for heavier music is what got me into metal, and it was just this very natural evolution. So
that kind of leads into the second question, which I think you may have answered, but I'm still going to ask it. What is the childhood band that changed your view on music?
well, yeah, it would have been Nirvana for that like spark moment where it was like this is awesome. This is so different than anything else. It's not, men with teased hair and, wearing ridiculous clothing, dressing up like women and all that stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Everybody's into their own.
It just wasn't your jam.
But it just wasn't my jam. It was so ridiculous in the way that it was done and so over the top.
I have to agree. Like some of the hair metal bands were like, it was almost like they were more like the aesthetic as opposed to the talent. Like it was the look that was.
It was the look was everything. The look.
Like Kiss is a fine example.
Exactly. They wanted to be rock stars instead of musicians, and for a lot of the grunge bands, especially the early ones, I mean, certainly that scene ended up sort of cannibalizing itself at the end. But at least early days, the perception was that the art was more important than the image, and that's what I really sort of picked up on. That the songs, the art, the integrity of it was more important than how flashy you look, than how big your hair was, or any of that nonsense.
Let's get into the process of how you come up with your lyrics and what influences your choice of words.
Most of our songs in Dust Prophet, I read a lot of nonfiction. I'm a huge true crime fan. So a lot of the songs and a lot of the lyrics are about probably the darker side of humanity, about murder, about things I read about. We have a song called The High Capital on our album, which is actually, was inspired by Paradise Lost. I have a wonderful, full booklet graphic novel of Paradise Lost.
I followed that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, the artwork and the paintings and everything about, the fall of Lucifer and whatnot and all that. It's fascinating. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And so there's things like that, I've turned to the Bible for some inspiration because, holy crap, the Bible has a lot of violence and messed up things in it. Regardless if you're atheist or Jewish or Catholic, it doesn't matter. There's so many stories of murder and just destruction and humiliation and just the worst of the human race coming out. I mean, it's how could you not be inspired by that? You can read Revelations from beginning to end in probably 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. How could that not be an epic summer action movie, So
I want to,
or a really messed up, Netflix only, super rated R or unrated movie, like a Lars von Trier type thing. So which I think he actually kind of already did to a degree.
I kind of want to touch on the Bible part about that. I'm a strong Christian. The Old Testament's all murder, deceit, and lies and stuff. The New Testament's not like that. Revelation is very deep, and if you understand Revelation and the symbology and the metaphors behind it, it goes a long way, right? But if for the plain lay person reading it, you'll scare the shit out of yourself because it's pretty graphic.
Sure is. Yeah.
So the next question would be, do you experience writer's block? And if so, how do you overcome it?
I think everybody does to a degree. I mean, I think it's part of the process of, you, especially when you're pushing hard and you're trying to create, I think it's natural that with stress and whatnot, that there is a level of writer's block that may come. For me, I've always just tried to do different types of music, listen to different types, get out of the comfort zone, just expose yourself to something totally different that you're not normally into, because it will free up ideas and free up different approaches that maybe you hadn't considered before. So I tend to get writer's block when I'm really trying to make something happen and not necessarily letting the process come. So
if you had one genre for the rest of your life to listen to, what would it be and why?
Most of my favorite artists and bands play heavier music, but they're not all metal. A lot of it's hard rock. I really love, I used to be really into different types of electronic music. There is the old gritty sort of blues rock style that I enjoy very much. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could pick one genre.
It's a hard question for a lot of artists.
Yeah. I don't know how I could
So there's
censor
another one
myself.
here is, can you name one artist that you love and one artist that you can't stand, or band?
Well, I mean, I love Ministry, one of my all-time favorite bands. I just the way that was another sort of breakthrough moment for me when I was younger. Hearing how you could use drum machines and samplers to interweave themselves with heavy guitar and just what was possible. You know, for me, picking one is going to be very difficult. It's probably surprising because I mentioned Bob Dylan earlier, but as I got older, had an incredible appreciation for what he was really singing and the craft behind his compositions and, you know, the words and just the depth of it. It was so lost on me when I was younger. I couldn't understand it. I wasn't mature enough to really understand it. You know, Michael Jackson has, not only was he an icon, he put out some incredible music. When you listen to some of his earlier recordings, the layers of sound and technicality in the studio that they were doing in the 80s, where there wasn't crazy digital interfaces and MIDI and to the level that we have it nowadays and Pro Tools and all that stuff. You had to have session musicians who could go in there and nail their parts and lay it down because time was money. You know, those are incredible. I love Pink Floyd, probably another one of my all-time favorites. Frank Zappa. I could go on and on. So people I hate the most, like I really hate Kid Rock.
Yes.
Hate Kid Rock.
Me too.
It's just a gimmick. He literally was a gimmick, and that was what. And he really fizzled out really quickly after the gimmick kind of got old.
Yeah, zero. I have zero. I mean, hey, whatever, man. God bless him. But it's not anything I'm interested in.
No, the rap part was terrible too.
Yeah.
I was never huge. I think there's just that one song that I like, which is that Bomb, and it was just because it was played all the time, right? And it was kind of catchy, but him as a long-term artist, no, it was more, again, a gimmick. And it was just something that nobody had ever seen, and that was the reason why. And he was controversial, right? And that was the reason why he got noticed. And then recently, he did all like this political shit, and I just was like,
Oh yeah.
an artist gets political like that, I'm done with them. Like, just stick to your art. Don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's some artists that, like Rage Against the Machine, are always political. Like, they were from day one. And a lot of punk bands, I mean, The Clash, and, I mean, go on and on. I mean, the Sex Pistols. Punk was founded on, like...
When they're making commentaries on political and stuff in the songs, I couldn't get with that. But, I mean, what Kid Rock did...
I know what you mean. He's, like, shaking up the Bud Light cans on his... It's like, without getting into it does, the gamut swings both ways. And I just, there's a lot of, it's kind of interesting. I was just watching a documentary on Waco. Do you guys up in Canada, you're familiar with the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, and what happened with David Koresh and all that? I think it was like 93.
That was covered very much in Canadian news.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it...
The whole standoff, I remember watching it, like,
didn't know if I needed
on the news.
Yeah. So that's a perfect example of kind of the times we're in now, of to a degree, where you have all these sides. You have the ATF, the FBI, the Branch Davidians. Everybody's yelling. Everybody wants some sort of, like, their way has to be this zero. Nobody's actually listening to each other or talking to each other. The FBI and the ATF were clueless to the fact that you're talking to a cult who, like, dying and doing this whole Babylon thing was very much ingrained in their approach and their beliefs. So you're not going to scare them threatening to kill them. They want that. That's absolutely what they think. They think they're going out in glory.
Yeah.
And they were clueless. The government was clueless to that. Had they taken the time to actually, I'm not justifying, Koresh, or I'm just saying it's an example of where, maybe listening a little bit more and understanding the other side a little bit more wouldn't have resulted in all of those people dying, especially all those kids. They could have arrested Koresh, they could have taken him out. We'll never know, and here we are again, 30-something years later, and it's the same thing, at least here in America. We have so much division and so much animosity and so little tolerance for the left versus the right, and everybody wants to annihilate the other side. And is civil war going to be like just something that we're going to have to deal with now in the next few years, or are we going to get our heads out of our asses and realize that, it's okay to be different, have differing opinions? I mean, I don't know. I'm not talking about like the Epstein stuff. Obviously, we can all hate pedophiles. We can all hate Nazis. That should be obvious to anybody. But in terms of your friend that might have a more conservative outlook on how the government acts financially and acts internationally versus yourself, I mean, there's, there has to be some common ground that we can all connect.
Communication is key. A lot of people need to just have civilized aspects and approaches, and it goes a long way. What's a tip that you'd give an old version of yourself when you first started making music that you're aware of now?
Probably that, I would tell them that nobody's ever going to care about your music or your art as much as you do.
Right.
So, you have to be your own advocate and you have to be your own fan. It's a good lesson for life in a lot of ways, but nobody's going to care as much as you do. It's always going to be, it'll always be the most important thing to you. And it might be important to other people, but not as important. They're going to have other things. Everybody has that one thing that is always going to be more important to you than to even your best friends or your family. For many musicians, your art, your music, you have to advocate for yourself.
How do you feel about the music industry today?
I don't feel about it. I don't think about it. I don't care about it. So we do our own thing. I'm pretty jaded at this point, pessimistic of.
There's a lot of artists that we interview that have the same answers, just so you know.
Yeah, so I don't think about it at all. It's not something that even concerns me on a day-to-day basis.
Well, do you have any upcoming events or projects that we should be aware of?
We just played a show last night, and we have our last gig of the year coming up on December 6th, actually in our hometown here, Manchester, New Hampshire. That's going to be our last show for the year. We've already started recording our second album. We got a bunch of drum tracks and finalized tracks done for all the rhythm. We just need to, once we're done playing shows, we'll go back in and do overdubs, vocal layering, solo, guitar solos, stuff like that. Yeah. Going to spend the winter in hibernation, focusing on getting the album done, hopefully for a springtime release, but we don't have a hard deadline, so we're going to just make sure it's ready to go when it's ready.
Yeah, a lot of the bands that we have are actually going in about the same time. So in spring, we're actually going to be doing some follow-ups with everybody on their new releases, because I think you're like the third band that said that that's what they're doing. I think it must be common for you guys to do in the wintertime is to do your writing and kind of all of that when you're more home-based, right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are Canadian. I don't need to tell you at all about harsh winters. So we have harsh winters here. It's not uncommon to have a nor'easter blow through on a weekly basis. I just don't really want to be on the road because it's so unpredictable. It can be very dangerous travel. And then you drive 2, 3, 4 hours to some state far away, and we have a cold front incoming or a polar vortex or something like that, and people are just not going to come out. It's like, I was going to come to the show, but it's -10 outside, so I'm going to stay home. And fair enough, I'd probably do the same thing. So
100%.
Yeah,
I'm from Michigan. Like I'm from Pontiac, Michigan. Down in Georgia for some years too. But we get our news from the Detroit news, man.
Yeah,
it's same weather. She's up in Scotland, so that's really different, though.
Yeah, no, we get it pretty cold in Nova Scotia, too, so we do understand the unpredictability of weather, definitely.
Yeah,
so
and plus it doesn't help that it's like pitch black at 4 o'clock.
So. Yeah, no, by 4:30 here, it's dark. Yeah. And I said a lot of our bands are Halifax-based, so it kind of makes sense that that's the timeline, and you know what I mean? I'm sure there's other bands that do touring that when it's nicer, but we have a similar winter, so it's a good time of year to kind of hanker down and do the writing and kind of all that. So, yeah, we'll definitely be doing some follow-ups in the spring with people's new EPs and releases and stuff as well. So,
perfect.
So what I'm going to do next is we're going to break into the song portion. And what I'll do is I'll just get you to give me a little introduction. I'm going to name the first one, which is When the Axe Falls. You want to give an introduction to that?
So that song, the lyrics were inspired by the New Orleans Axeman, or the Axeman in New Orleans, a basically a serial killer from the very early 1920s era in New Orleans. And it's, as I mentioned, I like true crime. I tend to gravitate towards cases and examples that are not solved. So the Axeman in New Orleans is one. The Zodiac was a passion of mine for many
I'm the
years.
same way. That's why it's so great. Like I actually followed this case, and like I'm huge into true crime. So this is awesome because I didn't know that was your guys' subject matter. So that's kind of cool.
Well, I'm not speaking for the other members of the band. It's what I typically write about. But we have songs about other stuff too. Once we get to the next two songs, I introduce the same subject matter. The riffs to this song were written by our bass player, Sarah Wappler. She's pretty much the primary music writer in the band. So very, very often she'll write riffs, write orchestration and arrangements, come in, and then we will work on it as a four-piece. But, so she wrote most of the music, we massaged it, and I did the lyrics.
All right. Well, we'll give this one a listen then.
All right. For the show, would it be easier if I emailed you MP3s?
Pardon?
For the actual show, like when this gets edited and all that down, do you want me to email you MP3s?
You can't. I tried downloading them. I don't know if I can download off Bandcamp, but if you want to send me the MP3s, that would make my life easier.
Yeah, I'll just email them to you directly.
Perfect.
You don't have to download it.
When I do edit them, I overlay like the actual MP3 because it gives it better sound quality for the final show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this won't be the actual sound. So yeah, I usually download like I said, from YouTube, but I don't know if I can download for Bandcamp, so that would make my life a lot easier for sure. Okay. I'll give you my email address once we're done the interview. I'll send you my email address and you can go ahead for it. I can cut this out anyway. So that's one of the reasons why we do pre-records, and that way we can kind of like just edit out spots when we do this. So I'm gonna press replay on this. I'm just gonna start right from the beginning, and then it gives me enough space for the actual MP3. So I'm gonna let that play now.
Okay.
to be exact, I propose to you. To save your life, I need to hear the sound I crave. The axe will fall, the blood will spill. I am the spirit and the demon who will save you all. To save your life, I need to hear the sound I crave. I am the spirit and the demon who will save us all.
Very
Guitar
unique.
playing was good.
I can tell the industrial, but you don't like. There wasn't like one band that I thought you sounded like. You definitely have like your own sound to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Your guitar playing was sick too.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Thank you.
yeah, definitely.
You know, it's funny. When we made that album, we were a three-piece. It was myself doing vocals and guitar, Sarah playing bass, and in the studio, she did, the organ, piano, stuff like that. And then Tyler on drums. He also overdubbed some hand percussion on some tracks. We've expanded our lineup originally for live purposes. We ended up adding a dedicated guitar player, and I just focus on vocals now. So a little bit easier for me live. I've never been great at singing and playing at the same time.
Yeah, that would be hard.
There's some people that are amazingly good at it. I don't know. It's just not something I've ever been able to make. My brain's just not wired that way. So, so we got a second guitar player who quickly became a full-time guitar player, and now we write as a four-piece, and we've added the auxiliary percussionist live. So he just plays hand drums, congas. He's got a couple extra percussion-based instruments. So now we went from being a three-piece to a five-piece.
Yeah, it would be better for live shows. There's a lot less work on each individual artist, right? When you have to do two things.
Yeah, and it just developed naturally over the past few years.
Okay,
Nice.
so go ahead.
Oh, our just handles nice.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I'll get you to give me an introduction to the next song, which is Hourglass.
Yes, Hourglass. So that there's going to be a repeating pattern here. That's another one that Sarah came in with the bass riff. The riff that starts the song she wrote, and I just based the guitar riff off of that. So the core of the music she wrote the verse, she wrote the chorus. I don't recall how the middle part came about, but once one of us brings an idea in, Sarah brought these in, and Tyler and myself jammed on it. The three of us, we make it a song as a band just through messing around. The lyrics were actually inspired. So I'm a huge Dracula fan, which I know is kind of nerdy, but I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. Did one of the greatest books ever written, in my humble opinion. And so I have various versions of Dracula. I have one that's from that was translated from Icelandic, and I think it's called Mas Machina or something. I forget the name off the top of my head, but it was the one that they thought was lost for many, many years and had been translated to Icelandic, and they ended up finding it and retransferring it to English, and it's slightly different than the original because not all the words transfers. It's fascinating to read. I have a couple other versions where, I got one from a vintage bookstore where the pages are all frayed and whatnot. So it's like I have several versions of the exact same book. But I just think it's fascinating. So the lyrics for this were inspired more about the time period where he's Vlad Tepes, or, in the story, not obviously the real life Vlad the Impaler, but the book version where they touch upon who he was as an aristocrat, a prince, a fighter for Christianity against the Ottoman Turks and all that stuff. And that's kind of how it came about.
Alrighty, so we're going to get this one a listen then. Do you want to say anything, Aaron?
Schedule.
Alrighty, I'm going to give it a play.
life. It swallows all my lies. A shadow of deceit. No peace eternally. Condemned and out of reach.
The third song? Oh, that song is called Dear Mrs. So it's about Albert Fish, who was a pretty notorious serial killer that lived in the early 1900s. Grace Budd was, if not his final victim, then one of his very last victims. He notoriously had abducted her from her parents, who willingly let him take her. He was impersonating a man who had gone to hire the Bud's oldest son to help him out on the farm, obviously for nefarious reasons. And while he was having lunch with them, he met little Grace, offered to take her to a birthday party that she would have great fun at with kids her own age, and her parents basically said yes, and that's the last they ever saw of her. And he's truly one of the most
We'll play it.
Say what?
So we're going to play it.
Oh, okay. But it's essentially about Albert Fish, but specifically about the letter he wrote Grace Budd's parents after he had done his horrible things.
Well, I followed him too, so I want to listen to this now. You know what? We'll just go over. Yeah, no worries. So I'm going to give this one a play.
All right.
Self-harm is love. Show me you care. Self-harm is love. Will you look? If anyone asks what to say, brave and took you away. These
glad I played that one. That was my favorite out of all three, to tell you the truth.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was that one's a little bit harder. Like for some reason, I know it's not, but parts of the song sounded like old school Metallica, like the original Metallica.
Yeah, that's cool. I dig old school Metallica.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's not the whole song, but just those parts of it where it was just like that kind of just gives me that old, even from that era, like not just Metallica, but the rock bands or the metal bands from that era kind of feel. So yeah, that one was my favorite of all three. So.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want to thank you very much for giving us your time tonight and doing the interview for us. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity. I appreciate you giving me the chance.